Oh no, she's off again. As you can see, ladies and gentlemen, this is a high-speed pursuit. Will Branch to the Granny take off and make them run after her? Oh, I think she's going to. We've now got a foot pursuit, ladies and gentlemen. I think they're going to have to call for reinforcements. Thank goodness it's not a boiling hot day. We're making those two police officers run around arena in all that gear. Come on, ladies and gentlemen, you've got to cheer for the police or you're cheering for Gangster Granny. Ladies and gentlemen, I think they have caught her. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have got a road traffic collision here in the middle of the arena. So, ladies and gentlemen, one of these vehicles on the far side of the arena from myself has got somebody who's got out of the vehicle there. They've just realised that due to Gangster Granny's antics, they've accidentally knocked somebody off their bike. As you can see, Gangster Granny has been arrested for driving with undue care and attention, dangerous driving, and leaving the scene of an accident. So as you can see, we've got another person here who's trying to make off from the scene of the incident, who has been detained by the police. West Sussex Fire and Rescue Service now are arriving. The first vehicle into the arena is the heavy rescue tender. It looks like a normal fire engine, ladies and gentlemen. But as you can see, it's got a big crane on the back of it. A big high up there. That's used for lifting vehicles and straightening vehicles up. Should they be involved in a car crash. We can use it for stabilisation and an anchor point. And on the heavy rescue tender, which is the vehicle coming round now with the white and blue stripes on the cab. That carries heavy rescue equipment, so especially designed for working with larger vehicles, for lorries. It's got big airbags, it's got big hydraulic cutting equipment. A little bit bigger than they carry on a standard fire engine, just to make sure that no matter what it is we're faced with, the fire brigade can always deal with it. The other vehicle coming round is a standard water tender ladder. That's the second pump out of Chichester there. That's 4-2 Papa 2. So that vehicle is a normal fire engine, one that you'd see out and about most of the time. All the fire engines in West Sussex that you see all have the same equipment on when we're talking about a normal fire engine, the normal fire appliances. So they're all able to pump water, they all carry a tank of water, so we can deal with a fire immediately should it occur. But they all carry rescue equipment, so they carry hydraulic rescue equipment, and they also carry electrically operated and battery rescue equipment. This equipment is what we use to cut up cars, and of course other things as well, but predominantly they're used for road traffic collisions. The vehicle's entered now. The unmarked vehicle is an ambulance officer. They're from South East Coast Ambulance Service. And that would be a commander who is overseeing and would liaise with the fire commander and whoever the officer in charge of this incident is from the police. They would all meet up together and work out what's happened and formulate a cunning plan to get everybody safe. So the police might be looking at keeping the roadway closed and making the scene safe initially. Then they would lead on the investigation element of a road traffic collision. The two big yellow vans coming in, both ambulances obviously. One of those is a normal dual crewed ambulance, so that would have two clinically trained people on board and is able to transport patients as well. The other vehicle that entered is part of the HART team, that's the Hazardous Area Response Team. And they're clinically trained people, they're paramedics and technicians, predominantly paramedics, and they're also trained alongside colleagues in the fire service to wear breathing apparatus in atmospheres that you can't breathe in. They're also trained in rope rescue and work quite closely with our very own technical rescue unit. But they're also able to perform swift water rescue as well, alongside fire and rescue. So between the two agencies, we've covered off all the rescue elements as well as getting those specialist clinical skills into those environments that maybe paramedics couldn't go into before. As you can see, the ambulance commander is walking into the middle of the arena there with their white helmet on. They've got a white jacket with the green and white checkers on. That signifies that they are the incident commander from the ambulance service. The commander from the fire service should be wearing a high-vis jacket with a yellow bottom and a white top to it, and on there will say Fire Incident Commander. And also the police will also have a surcoat, a jacket, a high-vis jacket, be white on the bottom, and that will be blue and white checkered at the top. That makes it nice and easy for us to identify who the people in charge are of each different agency attending. So what the crews from the fire service are doing on arrival, they'll be getting out all the equipment and setting up an equipment dump. So they'll be putting a big plastic sheet down and then gathering all the kit off the truck that they might need. That means it's there, it's visible for them, and it's close to the scene of the incident. They're able to then get hold of the equipment nice and quickly, should we need to. As we mentioned about the police, are there here primarily for scene safety. Their job is to put out all the cones and the signs. Of course, fire engines carry them as well to help support the police with that. So they're there to preserve the scene, keep everybody within that incident area safe. And of course, as I said, once they've completed that task, their task focuses to investigation and making sure that we're able to identify how the accident happened. And that information could potentially help prevent accidents happening in the future. So the role of the ambulance service here is to assess the casualties. They're going to see which people are injured the worst, which ones need to come out of the car the quickest, and their commander, working alongside the incident commander from the fire service, they will formulate a plan with a priority list of who needs to come out first. Can't always be done that way, depending on the vehicle and the damage to the vehicle, but they will be there to advise clinically on each patient how stable they are and what their injuries are, and that formulates that priority list for getting people out of the cars. Again, at all times, fire service are working very, very closely with our clinical colleagues from the ambulance service, ensuring the patient is briefed and understands what's going to happen, making sure that everybody within the team, whether it be fire, police or ambulance working around that car, fully understand the procedures that are going to take place, making sure that everything is done for the best interest of the casualty. All of our rescues are always casualty centred, casualty focused. So another role that fire service will play here is around the scene safety directly involved with the vehicles. So they'll be supporting the ambulance service, making sure that they have the relevant protective clothing on to make sure they're as safe as they can be, because vehicles that have been involved in accidents are very, very dangerous. They can have undeployed airbags, so the airbag that's supposed to protect you from an accident, if it hasn't deployed, sometimes they can deploy after the incidents happen. So again, they'll be putting a thing called a bag buster over the steering wheel. So that's a big clamp that goes over the steering wheel, spikes in the back of it, and if the airbag deploys from the steering wheel, the big clamp stops it going off into the face of anybody there or knocking anybody that's in the way, and it rips the bag apart with the spikes on the back of the bag buster. So the airbag can't deploy. It'll still go pop, but it won't actually blow up like a balloon because that bag buster will prevent that from happening. Now the crews have got several different options depending on the state of the vehicle, the damage caused to the vehicle, as to which tools they use. So the primary thing they're going to do initially is initial access to a casualty. That is making sure that our friends and colleagues in the ambulance service are able to get to that patient to assess them. So we'll create a little bit of space, whether that just be opening doors, it might be having to remove a door, but they'll just create that space to get our clinical colleagues in there to make sure that patient, from a first aid point of view, an initial medical intervention, is having everything done to keep them alive, keep them safe, and improve their situation. Once that's done, along with the fire commander and the ambulance service commander, they'll devise that plan about how the best way is going to be to move forward for that patient. So as you can see on the vehicle where the two fire appliances are, or sorry, where the fire engine is and the ambulance, which is on my left-hand side. That vehicle is having the doors removed, again, to make space to get ambulance service in. So as a fire commander, your plan would be, plan number one would be to potentially have all the doors off and remove the roof and get the casualty out onto a longboard. If we plan to do that as the most active sort of